Good. Amazing, amazing. So welcome to the Real Remedy Masterclass. So this is going to be hands-on in the sense of I'm actually going to walk you all through how to create some of the most popular type of reels and the ones that have done better on my page engagement wise. So I kind of want to walk you through how to think about creating amazing video content. I say reels because we kind of know that term, but this class really is about creating video, short form video content. I knew if I titled that, no one would know what I was talking about. But I do want to introduce that term to you all. I think that's going to become a really hot topic in the next 6 months or so. And you guys are ahead of the curve. This is the new wave of social media, and we all are aware. So going into it right straight in, no chaser, reels that sell is content that sells. So we want to, again, walk through really quickly how to think about content and how to make sure that your content actually is doing what you want it to do. So if you ever find yourself in a weird day, week, month, season, year of business, content is a element of what we want to look at, but it's not the only element. And most folks that come to me with content concerns or content questions, usually they are thinking that the content is the end all be all to helping them generate more income. And it's not the only thing. So I felt it would be a disservice to you all to not share more about how to create and think about content in the grand scheme of things when it comes to social sales. So important tip. Honestly, when folks are like, my content's it's not working, I'm not getting the engagement, like I don't know what to post, I typically have a conversation first about lead generation. And we're going to talk more about that in a second. But if you are not implementing a strategy that increases how many eyes get on your brand in general, then your content is going to always be a symptom and not a cause of low sales or low revenue. So it's 40% of people. Once we talk about lead gen and how we're going to get more eyes on the content as it comes out, they solve that issue. I just want you guys to park that in the back of your mind. We're not going to cover that 100%. But again, I just don't want y'all leaving class like, I'm going to make fire content. It's going to be $1 million year because of it. It will be $1 million year, but we want to make sure that we're comprehensive in how we think about social sales. So as a chief marketing officer, again, that's the role I play within a business. We're looking at the whole symptom. We're looking at whole cause. So kind of introduced this before, but my role is to help you take your brand from being introduced to a complete stranger to creating loyal, high-paying fans. You want fans in your world, super fans who return investment into your business in the form of joy, abundance, and ease. That's the kind of business that we want to continue to foster. So the core 4 of social sales conversion, if you have attended any type of, and perfect. Thank you, Marissa. If you're on social media in any capacity, if you come to me in any of my classes, y'all have heard of the core 4. We're going to review it one more time because this really is the whole formula in terms of how are you going to convert your sales online. So visibility is why we're here today. We're here because we want to create video content that increases our visibility. But that is, again, one stroke of the wheel, right? Now, content is second, and this kind of covers two. We're going to talk a little bit about how it all ties in, but when it doesn't necessarily do so. Third is nurturing. Fourth is follow up. Let's just start from the top so we can pull it all together. So visibility to me is a combination of having social media content that is getting the eyes that you want, but more importantly to me, it is lead generation. So I look at a viral piece of content still falling in the content realm, but I'm okay with, like, for the sake of conversation, saying, hey, we are going to increase your visibility. More eyes are going to get on your brand. But more importantly, we want those eyes to be specifically folks who fall in your potential client bucket. One of that's why I don't teach, like, I don't even have a goal of going viral personally. Like, well, why would you teach a class that you don't want to go viral? Viral, in a lot of cases, does not mean increase in sales. It means that you created a piece of content that people really, really, really liked. And that can be a range of people. And because most of you all have or are aiming towards having a high ticket offer, everybody's not going to be your client. So instead of the goal being to get 1 million views on one video, I'd much rather you get 1,000 views or 10K views on one video. And most of those views are people who are literally within your target audience. Hey, Stacy. Hey, Nick. So this is incredible to keep in mind. Again, if that is an area that you're like, I don't really have a way to get new eyes on my brand, if I'm not trying to do it through content, that's a side conversation. But again, content is why we're here. We're going to talk about content more in depth in just a minute. So we'll skip that for now. But nurturing is what I want to highlight as well. So in the scheme of you creating this content, you're showing up, you're doing a great job, you're being consistent. Most of you all know because you guys are successful business owners, but again, I just touch on this or remind you of this because there are seasons in business, especially when you're scaling and you're having that first really amazing year in business, where sometimes you're just popping and you're not even really doing a whole lot to pop. And one of the things I specialize in is bridging the gap, especially when your business is referral based. I want you to drop a 1 in the comments if you have had a referral-based business, because this is one of the most frustrating places to kind of navigate out of when you're like, my business has killed it. And I really have not had to have a particular strategy because people just tell people about me and that has carried me. What happens after, a little while is we are super appreciative of the referrals, but we start to notice a gap between being able to convert to people who we don't know. So then we do want to have a more of a direct conversation about how are we nurturing the people who aren't coming from a referral source. Awesome, awesome. Yes, yes. It is super amazing to know that people think highly and they're sending the business to, but that becomes a hindrance in the form of I can't control when my money comes in. So it's great when a lot of referrals are coming in at once, but once people get busy or they pivot or they have referred everyone they know or whatever the case is, it does become harder to control how you grow your income. So we are definitely going to talk about that today. So, and then the last piece here is follow-up. So you want to know that, and that's again, form of, it's a lot different when a referral comes in. Usually it's like, hey, we got connected. Hey, we're friends. Hey, you're going to go ahead and place an order. And they kind of like pay that invoice right away. You don't kind of have to do what people have defined as the icky side of sales, which is not icky at all. But learning how to follow up was tactful. It becomes really intimidating. I won't lie. If you're watching social media, because at least once a week on the news feed, someone is complaining about someone hopping in their DMs, right? So put a 2 in the comments. If either you or someone you know is a victim of seeing a status that says, I hate when people hop into my DMs. That can be very, very discouraging to a business owner who is in their first like 1 to 5 years of business. I'm officially in year 10, and I have rolled some waves. Okay. So I had to learn how to navigate through that and make sure that at the end of the day, I knew how to follow up and where to follow up and making sure that I'm not leaving money on the table because I am dealing with someone who does not know me personally or know someone that I know personally. So every piece of content, when you are stepping out, it's going to fall somewhere in one of these 4 categories as well, if you really have a comprehensive content plan. So every piece of content is not intended to sell. And I know you all know that, but again, I have to say it. So we just want to make sure that in a whole comprehensive strategy online, that you have different elements that are going to highlight and help you meet or fill the gaps of each of these 4 in the core 4. So if you don't know how to increase your performance in any of these, so visibility would be lead generation, content's obvious, nurturing looks like having a Facebook community, having an email list that you're marketing to, text message marketing, even masterclasses, free masterclasses, whatever you decide to do, there needs to be somewhere that people are being fielded into to get a more intimate or discovery calls, more intimate conversation with you and follow up again. Do you know how to follow up? Do you know how to be comfortable following up? Do you know what to say? All of those things are imperative when you are running a brand that does not rely on just referrals.
Hey, Patrice, can I ask a question real quick?
Yes, of course.
Can you go back just a minute?
Oh, there you are.
Yeah. I had to step away for a minute, but content like number 2 and number 3. What did you define as the difference between those 2 again? Because in some ways, content is nurturing, right? But what did
It
you?
can
How
be
did you?
nurturing. You got
Mhm.
it. So content is a standalone because content to me is the equivalent of having a sign in front of your boutique. Like if you have a boutique or a storefront, right? Content is what you're putting out front of your boutique to say, if this sign speaks to you, come in, right? It can say a sale's going on. It can be something funny. You know, we've seen coffee shops with little catchy phrases and stuff. That to me is content, but that's not the storefront, right? It's not the store either. So content is an element of nurturing. Might look like the people who sell chicken teriyaki with the stick. That's a lead magnet, right? In our world, it's a conversation. It can be a discovery call. It can be a free masterclass. It can be a free Facebook community. These all can be paid too, depending on where you are in business. Because as you elevate and your values a lot more clearly defined and you have that social proof, you can start to move these free elements to paid elements. But that nurturing means specifically, I'm moving you from content. I'm moving you from social media, from that best sign in front into my world, into my business, into my actual storefront. And this is a way to connect with them. I call it the coffee chat, right? Like now we've met out and about, we networked somewhere together, and now we're going to have a more intimate conversation or have a more intimate community where you can get to know me better. That's nurturing.
Okay.
Good question. So of course, I want to make sure y'all have that. This is going to be something that I'll be teaching more often, because this does help to fill, again, gaps within that social strategy. Let me make sure in chat we didn't miss anything. Yes, Shayna, well, I'm so glad that you are here. She just mentioned that she's starting from scratch and being able to, so you really get to build your social strategy in a way that's in alignment for you and what feels good for you. But now we know we get to put these pieces together. So in order to successfully feed your funnel, right? So now when we move from referrals or just kind of luck, beginner's luck, depending on how you came in or just in a different season. Some of you may have pivoted into a different offer. You may have pivoted into a different form of business. I know I pivoted a lot. So each time I pivoted, I had to look and say, just because like I have 50K followers on one of my Instagrams, those folks do not convert to what I'm doing right now. So it doesn't even matter that like I did all this work. I have to look at my business today and say, do I have the leads that feed this new offer? So to feed that social sales funnel, your content should meet one of three core goals, like, know, trust, right? Know, like, trust is what I put here. So you want to make sure that you're implementing that. And we all know that, right? Why do people buy? People buy from people they know, like, and trust. So know means inspiring content. That's really easy. I love this kind of content because honestly, for most of you all, it should be low effort content. So it can be a trending audio that just says something motivational. They come up a lot. I want to say in the scheme of trending audios, at least 40%, maybe it's 35, at any given time is going to be inspirational in some way. And you can just slap that onto any kind of video. It can be you walking, it can be you working in your office, it can be you enjoying yourself on vacation or your nature walk. There are lots of ways that you can just pop on an inspiring audio and it does what it needs to do. I use know as the connector there because that helps people understand your spirit. Even if you are a service-based business, we are all coaches in some way, whether you're forward-facing as a coach or you are a service provider. But either way you slice it, when you are opening up your doors for business, you're going to be helping to shift the mindset of the people who are in your space. So that just helps people see, where is that person's mind at? And how do I relate to that? Do I need that kind of energy to meet my goals? Like, it's entertaining. It is not necessary, but it is something that, again, if you're building a fully comprehensive sales funnel, it's fun to do. And if you're like, I don't want to do that, Patrice, I don't make you, right? But we do want to have a conversation that if visibility is your goal, you are going to want to have a little bit of entertaining based content. It can be low effort. It ain't got to be all the time, but let's just keep it real. If you want to grow eyes on your brand, you're going to want to incorporate this into your strategy. And then trust. Trust is trusting in your expertise. So educational content always wins. What we end up seeing is that when a brand heavily focuses on one of these and not enough of the other two, sometimes you can kind of get away with two depending on your audience. But again, I'm just going to always recommend all three. But where people go wrong, because they'll be like, well, I'm doing all of this, like I'm doing this skit, I'm doing this, I'm posting up, I'm trying to, keep up with all of this, and I don't see the results that I want to see. Above all, no matter what kind of content that you do create, you want to make sure that your content at the core is addressing whatever mindset, behavior, and beliefs are holding this person back from this transformation that you provide. So it does require you all to dig deep. And I think it is important for us all to do at least twice a year. January and June at minimum, you should sit down and say, hey, I've talked to people for the last 6 months in my brand. I've seen them hesitate, hem haw. I've seen them hold themselves back. I always ask, like, if you don't know how to answer this, like, what's your pet peeve right now with your potential clients, right? And write that down, because that's going to give you a hint or a glimpse into, again, the mindset, behavior, or belief that's preventing them from getting the goal or the transformation that you provide. So I recommend, like, this is a content hack right now, right on the top of a piece of paper, what pisses me off right now, and like literally vent it out. And we want to be tasteful. We don't want to attack anybody through our content, but what it does is it reveals to you where there's a gap in your content. It reveals to you where you can fill in your content and explain and give perspective. It doesn't mean that we go talk trash, okay? But like I said, it just means that you in some way are responsible for, if this is how they're feeling, if this is how they are presenting to you when it's time to transform, how can we create content that answers to, or speaks to that before they even get on the phone with you or before they interact with you directly? Let your content be your assistant. So speaking of content being your assistant and kind of getting through those pet peeves, a lot of times those pet peeves, example, yes. So a pet peeve for me, I would use, I'm looking around the room. Let's say I see a plant, right? So I see a plant. Oh yes, Shannon gave a gem here, by the way. Content is your dating profile. Nurturing is talking until you decide to go on a date. I love that. So if I am a plant nursery owner, Marissa, right? And I am looking to maintain and grow and scale my plant nursery. If I feel like people are either not coming through my doors or they are not buying plants, like I have a lot of plants and people are not buying them, then I might be frustrated that people are buying more fake plants than real plants. And I might, if I am a frustrated and not in a solution ready place in my business, I might vent to people and say, see, this is what's wrong with the world right now. Everyone wants these fake plants and no one wants to put the work in to maintaining a plant. And I might be right? There might be some validity to how I'm feeling, but the way that you pivot that as a business owner, instead of going online and saying, I hate y'all because y'all just want fake plants, the way that you resolve that is saying, okay, well, what's the gap? Right? What's the gap in understanding? What do people get from a real plant that they aren't getting from a fake plant? Or are people misunderstanding how simple it is to maintain a real plant? I was that person. Like, I was so mad when my former spouse came home with like $300 worth of real plants. I'm like, these are going to all die. And we could have just gotten fake plants for all of this, right? And what I learned was that it doesn't take as much effort as I thought to maintain real plants if the basics are covered. And when planting them in the water, like, you kind of create that strategy for the plants. And once you have that, the plant kind of does its own thing. So I hope that helps bring perspective to say we can fall into a trap, a venting trap of like, see, people not converting because they just stupid. Like, we can kind of get into that, but then it's like, well, as a business owner, how can you educate? How can you soften? How can you help to provide perspective to where what you offer becomes a priority again? So I hope that helps to give some perspective. So with that, this all ties in really well to the top 3 categories that your clients at any time. I think this right here, y'all are like, circle this section. This right here shifted my entire social sales strategy like in one page, because I think we assume that most of the people who are watching us on social media are solution ready. We assume that if I am a plant nursery owner that people just want plants and everyone just wants plants and everyone is ready to be a plant owner. And that is not true. And we get frustrated when we don't understand that most people fall in category 1 or category 2. There's a small percentage of people who usually fall within category 3. And take that a step further, when you are a referral-based business, sometimes you feel like all you really met are number 3. So you're like, what the heck is going on? Why am I struggling with my content? Or why am I struggling with my conversion? And it's because you never really had to think about 1 or 2, because people who came to you really were already solution ready. So problem aware is where 80% of anybody is going to fall. They just know they have a problem and they're just walking around with a problem, right? So what's an example of a problem in my life right now? My problem is that a lot of problems. Well, I have a problem that time management. Right? Time management. My daughter's getting ready to go to school, kindergarten for the first time in 10 days. So I know that even when she starts school, my time's going to be even more tricky, because now I have to get one kid to one school and another kid to another school and pick them both up. And like, how am I going to do anything? Right? So all I know right now is I got a problem and I'm gonna have to fix it, right? But I don't really know where to go, because like I can't be like, okay, baby girl, you can't go to kindergarten because I ain't got time. You know what I mean? I just know I have a problem. So most people fall in that realm. Even if they're a successful business owner, they get overwhelmed. We all get overwhelmed, or, they know that they're having problems with conversion. Like, we all know what our problems are. Write this down. 80% of people fall here. Solution aware is, okay, so I know that I have a problem with time management, and I have a couple options. I can either incorporate like a sitter nanny that can kind of pick one kid up from school. I can extend one of my daughters into aftercare and just, pay for the difference. I can change my work schedule to incorporate some more night hours to kind of make up for some of the hustle bustle during the day. That's solution aware, right? But just because I'm solution aware does not mean I'm ready for you. It just means that I'm ready for a solution and I'm weighing out my options. So then we come to solution ready. So I'm going to walk you guys through. Problem aware means that your posts, your content should speak to the problem. Moms, how do you juggle having 2 kids in 2 different schools? Right? They might comment, I don't know. I ain't figured that out yet. I'm trying to figure out the same thing. How am I going to sit in this car pickup line? People kind of vent about their problem, right? So your content in this phase is going to say, I get you. I know you're having this problem. Now, of course, we've heard feedback that like higher ticket clients don't want to hear about their problems all the time. They don't. So you want to find a balance. However, it's still understanding that most of your clients are going to fall in this realm. So you don't want to forget about this section, because again, it's just so happens that most people are already here. Solution aware, that's the second tier of your content. So now you're talking about their options and you're kind of talking about why, when you were in their shoes, more importantly, because most of you all have launched a business that's a reflection of a problem that you used to have. So at some point, you probably did think about the different options in terms of what you now offer, or going to different kinds of people, or whatever the case is. So when you were in their shoes, you can be like, hey, like when I was, the mom to, kids in 2 different schools, like I remember thinking about these particular different options. This is what I considered. And so that's all amazing. But, now help them narrow down. How did you eliminate, well, a nanny doesn't make sense because blank. And how did you eliminate, it doesn't make sense to work at night because you're going to be tired, right? So help them walk through their different options. I'm a copywriter, as you all know. I own a copywriting agency. So if I'm taking that and using that as an example, I might say you might be looking at an AI software, right? If that's a competitor of mine, right? Not really, but because AI doesn't do high ticket, but to use that as an example. So my content in this phase would be speaking to why you might be thinking about going with the AI software for your copywriting needs, but this is why that is a bad idea. It's borderline copyright infringement. Like they are pulling content from different existing sources on social media or online and crafting it into your own content. So that might be key phrases or key point copy that you're pulling from someone else, not knowing because the software gave it back to you. And more importantly, it's going to really tank your SEO, because if this content already exists, these phrases already exist on online, the algorithm is going to say this already exists. We don't need to favor this content. So as a business owner, I need to know how to say, I know you're thinking of other solutions, but this is why I wouldn't do that, or this is why I didn't do that. Solution writing, again, I think we're all familiar with that is, hey, you're ready to go. And this is when you kind of speak to who they want to become. You want to become more organized. You want to love how your day flows. You want to feel like you have enough time to do everything. We kind of start giving vision in that copy, or we give them, again, straight up, here's my offer. This is what I'm offering. This is what it looks like. That's that direct sales copy. So, I think we're at 4, right? Leave a 4 in the comments if this was helpful to helping you even understand that as you're creating content in any capacity, email, social media, website copy, wherever you're showing up in terms of content that represents your brand, you want to know, where are most of my audience sitting? Someone might have an audience that is at number 3, so just know, but most of the population is going to fall at 1.
Patrice, a question.
Sure.
Is there like a 0 before number 1, or what do you think about when they're not aware that they have the problem? How might you communicate to that group?
0%. And I say 0 kind of jokingly, but it's going to take them a lot more time to convert. So if you have to drag them all the way from 0 to 3, you're looking at a 6 to 12 month content conversion, right? And that's okay, right? If you kind of throw a piece of content out here or there at that point, but it's tempting to do that because it's like, I'm going to help you and I'm going to create more clients because you didn't know you had a problem. Now you know. But that is a group of people. That's going to be a lot of people who are completely blind to. The problem exists because those people typically have not created any kind of budget at all for what you offer. So now you have to talk them into knowing they have a problem and then helping them work through creating a budget to pay you. And they typically don't convert. They typically don't convert quick, if at all.
Mm-hmm. Thanks.
I was going to chime in and ask a question, but one thing it always reminds me of something I always think about, like one of my nieces, she's like very overweight, but and I could say, girl, you need to lose some weight, you FAT, for lack of a better word. And she say, no, I'm not, I'm PHAT, like if the person doesn't see it like you see it, it's like Patrice said, you're not going to be able to convince them because they don't even see a problem. They don't, and if you can't convince them that there's a problem, it's a lost cause. They just don't see it like you see it. But like I said, I just threw that out as an example because that's what it always reminds me of, like FAT versus PHAT and the disparity between somebody who says, no, you're overweight, and it's like, no, I'm fine, like, no, I'm not, they see it differently, So I just wanted to kind of throw that out before I ask my question, that it's like that sometimes. You're not going to be able to convince them. They don't see it the same. Perception is different. Okay. Now, the question I had though, Patrice, is I would see problem aware, number 1, as speaking more to the pain. And I would see number 3 as speaking more to the promise, the desired state. Okay. Now I know that you can use both, I kind of call them the carrot and the stick. And sometimes some people's audiences respond better to the carrot. Sometimes they respond better to the stick. What do you think, as a marketing guru expert, which one is better, or does it really depend on your audience, in terms of which one do you use more often? Because I can say, like, from my own personal experience, I spent a lot of time talking about number 1 last year. And I felt like, in a way, like that's all I was doing, is I was speaking to the pain. I was speaking to the problem. And it's like, I could speak 10 times about the problem and the pain. And it's like, are we ever going to get y'all to the point where you're ready for number 3? Were you ready for a solution, a promise? When are you going to get out of this point? Because I talked about this 10 times already. And it got frustrating for me because it felt like I was always speaking to that. And I was ready to talk about something more positive, I was ready to talk about the promise. I was ready to talk about where you could be. You know what I mean? And so that was starting to wear on me after a while. And even from a standpoint of energy and attraction, if you kind of believe in that sort of thing, I felt like maybe the more I keep talking about the problem, it keep attracting more people who just focus on the problem. And I need people to be focused and ready for the solution. You see what I'm saying? Like, what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, so the goal, this is great to tie it all in. The goal is that your content is moving them through. So ideally, if you're talking about like, let's say for instance, you like, I just hosted a masterclass. Hey y'all. So y'all are here. If all you were was problem aware, all I know is that I struggle with reels, right? That's the problem that brought you here today. My goal and my role is to move you all from problem aware to solution aware, which clearly you kind of were. You solution ready in a sense because you came here, but it doesn't mean that you're going to leave here and go post 30 reels by the end of the month, next month, right? So my goal with my content becomes moving you all through the phases. So you should be able to see at some point where your problem aware content moves into number 2. And a good rule of thumb is that in a month's time, you touch on all 3. You touch on all 3, either way, because you're hoping that somebody who is in number 3 gonna be waiting around saying, well, when do I get to buy? You know, somebody might follow you today. Like I know, for instance, I have a client that we may have been friends on social media for 24 hours before she purchased, maybe 24 hours. So like that's when you want to express that. But good question. If you do feel like you're heavily into one category, you don't want to lean into one category without asking yourself, where do a majority of my clients fall today? And the goal is to move anybody who you're educating from 1 to 3 in a scheme of a social media campaign or a social media strategy.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And I think you know, that funnel aspect comes into play where, you know, you just realize that as you keep moving forward in the process, it may be fewer people that are ready to make that move, you know, kind of like a funnel. You start off big at the top with all the people, but as you keep moving towards each, you know, level, you may be you're losing a few, you know, who are actually, you get to the point where you get to the people who are really ready. They know they have a problem. They're aware of the solutions. They're ready to act on the solution. They're ready to whip out the card, whatever, and invest and fix the problem, you know, and so they can get to the promise. So yeah.
You were spot on. The funnel here is literally just like that. So the top is filled with people. The bottom is going to be with the people who are ready to invest. So you have nailed it. That is exactly how that should flow. So I'm really hoping that that just gives perspective. I thought it would be tough to start talking about actually going right into reels and not having that on wax, right? So happy. If y'all have questions, I'm gonna try to move y'all through. I don't want to keep y'all all day, so hold them for me. I'm gonna try to get y'all through some of this editing, and then we'll have some hopefully Q&A chat time towards the end. So let's talk tips, tricks, hacks in terms of just improving your overall video strategy. And let me okay, small. Hopefully y'all have it pulled up too. I don't know why it's so small. So number 1 is going to be start on TikTok. TikTok is where the trends, the audio start. So the reason why I recommend starting on TikTok is because on Instagram, trending audios really only last for like 7 to 10 days. So if you hear an audio today, specifically today, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna do a video for that next weekend when I get dressed. By next weekend, the audio is no longer trending, most likely, and now you're losing some momentum. So the way that I personally combat that is I will create reels that I see are now trending on TikTok. There's usually like a 2 or 3 week, sometimes longer gap between when things are viral on TikTok than when they come over to Instagram. So I got reels that I recorded, honestly, like 12 weeks ago, that the sound is now trending. I'm like, yes. You know, I can post it now on Instagram. I was able to batch it before, and now it's ready. Now, it doesn't mean I had to wait to post it, but again, I'm trying to get in the habit of batching content so I don't have to go and be on go mode all the time, right? Number 2 is going to be editing videos outside of social media. One of the biggest complaints that I get from folks is like, I don't know how y'all do this and that with the video. I don't know how you stitch it and stitch that and attach to this. Most of the editing, I want to say outside of the audio in most cases, but sometimes it is in app, and the actual words being added. I usually add the words in app. When I say ed app, I mean social media app. But outside of that, I am typically using Videoleap. Yes, we're going to talk editing. I'm going to try to get to that fairly quickly, because that's the part that I want to sit with you guys and let you watch me edit some of the videos that I recently pushed out. But the reason why it seems complicated is because if you do open up Instagram specifically, Instagram is not really like it's like they went from awful to like okay in terms of how you can edit videos in that app. So when you want to get either special effects or you want to do and tweak the video to be a little bit more, I'm a little anal, it's just easier to do that out of app. It's also important to do that thinking long-term wise, because short form video content is going to be the wave. It is the wave. So right now, and I mean, I'm speaking to myself too, but I'm trying to get my time management together. Short form video can show up on YouTube. YouTube shorts are killing it right now. You know, you can pop it over to Pinterest. Pinterest is now actually paying creators that have 200 followers. So I'm actually going to do a Pinterest follow train on my page sometime in the next month. I'm not gonna lie to y'all and say it's next week, hopefully, but we'll see how my month goes. But I believe that if most of us follow each other, we could literally help each other get qualified to be Pinterest influencers. And Pinterest influencers, in terms of creating content, they are one of the more higher paying platforms. So, you know, in posting maybe 30 pieces of video content, you can easily make about $100, $200 just from posting on Pinterest, because they are looking to entice video creators over on that platform. So being able to just repurpose, but more importantly, having it made out of platform means there's no watermark. And that is a caveat. And just know that for those of you who do have the Facebook creator status where you can get paid for your reels on Facebook, they will not pay for your reel if you have a watermark on it. If it comes from TikTok or Instagram, they will not monetize that reel. So you want to make sure when you are repurposing that you're not posting whenever you can avoid it. Like every now and then you might see a little TikTok floater on mine because I just forgot to do my due diligence. But overall, you usually will not see a watermark from another app wherever I'm posting, because I'm being strategic to have the original copy in my files, and now I'm posting it to wherever I want it to go. ThinkSight, you think about, oh, sure. I hear
so you are repurposing that content. You're not, it's not a new video or anything. These are the same videos that you're putting on the different platforms?
Yes. And of course there are, I'm going to go in towards the bottom of this page here to kind of share how I would have you gear your content towards that platform. There is a best practice for each platform, and I want you guys to keep that in mind, but it does not mean that you try to create content that hits the nail on the head for every platform. At one point in your career, you got to say, I'm focusing all of my efforts where I make the most money or where I know my ideal client sits. So if you have a product that literally home housewives that make 6 figures a year, this is for them, then you need to spend all your time on Pinterest. I would say don't even worry about the other ones, right? Like if I have a friend that creates personalized like mugs and cups and stuff, go to Pinterest. Go to Pinterest. Don't waste your time on all the other platforms with your video content. Go where the moms are already online with their credit cards out. That's Pinterest. LinkedIn, right? There's a whole audience on LinkedIn that we know that just does not compare to Facebook or Instagram. So know what, if you're going to choose this platform for a particular reason, per your strategy, if this is your home base, then operate the way your home base suggests and repurpose to other platforms. But I would not say spend, 12 hours this week taking the same concept and making it fit each platform, because the ROI on that is just not worth it. So good question there. Sight. So ThinkSight, when you think about short-term video in general, that's small snippets, informational based content. Still, you want to make sure that, again, it's moving people through those phases, right? Trending audio is always a win. And just to say out loud, in case you're not sure, trending audio just increases your chances of being visible. And we'll talk a little bit about how you can identify a trending audio piece, and just using that to, again, just help your video get more eyes. And then an enticing visual. So just to touch on that really quickly, that typically looks like lighting. Lighting is like 80% of the battle. So when I say enticing, it does not mean you need to dance or do anything crazy, wear a crazy outfit, none of that. It just means that the actual visual is attractive to the eye. So do you have a clear camera? Do you have great lighting? And for me, the hack for that is the car. I love a good car video. It means that I don't have to worry about the background. My kids can have toys all over the floor. whatever life is life in, I know I can get great lighting and have a clear, non-distracting background in my car. That could also look like, getting dressed up that one day a month or 2 days a month that you're going to do your reels. I'm not saying you got to be dressed up in all of them, but if you can put that extra effort, it just means that people are more likely to pause on your video. If you're going to do it, y'all, do it right. That's all I ask. But again, don't let it stop you. That's the whole thing. Don't let it stop you. And then the other piece to that is also knowing where's your audience in that buyer cycle. So if you are still in a very heavy referral based business, maybe it doesn't matter as much if you are, you put your makeup on that day or you got dressed up. But I'm just going to encourage you all to be your best and look your best if you're looking to get new eyes that do not know you that you want to convert, because first impressions do matter. Filters aren't necessary, but I like a good glam look when I'm not going to put makeup on for the same reason. Doesn't mean that I need to or that I should. It just means that I know first impression matters. So if you're seeing me for the first time and I want to teach you something or move you through a sales funnel, you're more likely to listen if I look my best. And a filter can help me do that on days where I have mommed hard. Okay. And then my other small hack here is just to share. Facebook is still baby reel territory. If you're sharing reels on Facebook, do it. Whenever you get ahead of a wave, you maximize the visibility. So I'm a huge fan of repurposing whatever real video content you're doing on other platforms onto Facebook. Facebook still is a huge conversion platform for me. And y'all have noticed it, maybe you didn't, but my views on my Facebook reels are super low unless I share my own video to my own feed and I'll just add a longer caption to it. That small hack has moved my views from 50 to 500.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because in sharing the Facebook video, I was going to ask you, where is it going, the reel? Because Facebook business page is like nothing's happening there. Or it hadn't been for a long time. I don't think that's changed recently. I don't know if you can share them in a group. You might as well go live in a group or whatever if you're going to do that. So then that leaves the personal page, to share it. And I guess that's where I really got to start showing up more, because my personal page was always my personal page. It was where I showed personal stuff, but I see a lot of people who they are straight business on their personal page. There's nothing personal, it's all business. And I'm like, wait a minute, and they get their clients and they make money. And, so I'm like, maybe I need to change my setup. But yeah, it's a mindset thing, I think, because I've always, only looked at it as my personal page and not posting all my business stuff.
Now, let me give you a glimpse into what Facebook is doing. Facebook is actually converting business pages into creator profiles. And I don't know if y'all have noticed this yet, but I believe, based off of what I've seen, Facebook does have a vision of basically taking these personal pages that function like businesses, right, that now have this creator profile, and they're matching it up to business profiles. So if you want to if you haven't already, create a business profile that has your first and last name, you literally can operate. If not right now, it will be very soon. I'm gonna try to put it to the camera real quick to see if it gives y'all perspective. And I'll be actually.
Also, it's like having a personal page, except it's a business page.
Exactly.
You make friends on your business page and everything. It works kind of the same way.
It works the same way. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen just for a second for the sake of, let me see if it lets me spotlight my own video. Okay. So this is my page for Charismatic Copy. And my profile for Charismatic Copy looks very similar now, right? The profile picture, all of that, how many likes I have. Same looking, detail, looks very similar. And then how the content shows looks almost the exact same, right? So they are moving in the direction of having business pages mimic the look of personal pages. So just know, if you do start one or if you have one, Facebook is not happy that people are not using business pages. Honestly, this is like slight conspiracy, but we kind of have some evidence. They're moving our those who are doing business or who are creating a lot of engagement on their personal pages to creator profiles, because they kind of want to identify who making money on their profile. Like they want to know who is getting it, right? So for right now, we ride the wave. And my whole mindset, I never stress about algorithms. I never stress about what's going to change. My thing is, how do I get ahead of the wave by using the newest technology? And how can I secure my bag as quickly as possible with this new technology? So when things shift, I can either pay to play or I can afford to move to another platform and take that learning curve. That's how, as a 10-year veteran, that's how I see social. It's going to always change. I remember having my daughter 6 years ago, and I was out of commission for 6 months. I was like, I don't even know my middle name right now. I'm so tired. And I came back and everything was different. And that's when I learned that like you literally are going to have to pivot and relearn social media. As y'all know, it's annoying over and over again if you're playing for free. So just know, secure the bag, go hard. I'm teaching y'all reels, I'm teaching y'all videos, go hard with it, because you'll be able to secure the bag and have the wiggle room to learn either a new platform or pay to stay on the platform that you're on, but it's not going to ever stay the same. So let me keep going, y'all, so we can get through. Hopefully that helped to answer that. I'm going to share back to this. So really quick, I'm gonna breeze through, but y'all have it written here. To succeed on TikTok, what's Patrice's thoughts, right? As a strategist, I'm still playing around with these platforms. Again, my goal is not to go viral, it's to be effective and make money, and get enough views to help me do that. TikTok, think how YouTube has the cover photo, like when you're scrolling YouTube and you see these pop out titles on the actual video or like on the cover. That's how you want to title your TikToks. People are looking for bite-sized shifts through TikTok, whether it be a bite-sized inspiration, like, hey, you have the life that I want, whether it be a bite-sized motivational tip, a bite-sized business tip, or whatever your expertise is, give it to them bite-sized and have it be SEO friendly. That's a huge tip there. So whatever people are Googling, you want to make sure that your TikTok, the title, your header, that the writing on the beginning of that video is reflective of what people will be searching on Google. That's important for all of these videos, honestly, but TikTok is a big deal because people really are, TikTok is now pulling in SEO to their own algorithm. So they're now reading what you put on the front of your video to see who they're going to share it with. Instagram stories, how informal they are, how you might just be sitting and chatting with your audience about something. TikTok loves that format. It's no longer for teeny boppers, right? So you being informal, as long as it's titled right, your lighting is right. Again, you still are honoring the fact that you still want an enticing visual, whether the background, backdrop, however you want to mix it up, something about your video will help for someone who does not know you to have a good first impression. So that's TikTok. Instagram, think photo shoot or life in motion. That's just the simplest way to do it. We'll talk about timeless reels in a little bit, but having a photo shoot, if you got one planned, which you should in the next 6 months, just recording content behind the scenes, that does phenomenal. If you're speaking somewhere, speaking engagements, same thing, get someone to record you while you're talking, while you're walking, while you look good, and this spotlight's on you. Those do really good on Instagram as well. And really, they want content that inspires the community. So if it's, a pet peeve kind of video where you're kind of mouthing over the audio, they love that. They love inspiration, but whatever is going to help to cultivate community and help get people talking. Instagram is looking to see specifically how many comments you're getting on your reels. So are you creating content that's going to make people laugh or make them comment or say, yeah, me too, that makes me irritated too. However you want to garner that up, they're looking for comments and community on those Instagram reels. And then Facebook still kind of shaping its identity. But for me, in the short term, I've been using Facebook for reels. They love when I create a reel where it's an inspirational audio and the caption, the transcription of that audio is on the video. simple enough. They just like it. We're going to cover now how to do that. But yeah, I just wanted to just give you guys some go-to points. My goal is that with this workbook that you guys are able to print it out, and this is literally your go-to. We went through it together. Whenever you need a quick reminder of how to, like, you got a social strategy in hand right now. So I'm hoping you can grab this when you need it and be able to develop that strategy at any given time. So let's keep going. We got about 30 more minutes. So I'm going to try to push through. Thank you guys for being here. We got a good training, a good hour training in, and we're going to start talking about how to create viral worthy reels. That just means that we're putting forth the effort to go viral in our own personal community. We want to go viral amongst the people who are our ideal clients. So this guy here is my favorite. I have a book somewhere in my life that I printed these out. And before, I'll play my reels out with these. So I'll indicate what kind of reel it is, right? Which we'll go through that in just a second. And I'll write out, I'm going to do this song. This is what I'm thinking. When I see this reel, this is what comes to mind. That's the storyline. The content cheat code basically means, what am I going to title this reel? Am I going to title it The 5 Ways to Do Blank? Am I going to call it POV, right? Which we all may have seen that point of view, you know, when you're sipping a margarita, still getting paid in your sleep. Like, how am I going to title this content? And then any notes that I want to create, if it's a bullet point type of reel, I'll write that out there. If I want to say, you know, go get your favorite hat, like whatever you need to know to storyboard your entire reel, this should help you map it out. And that way, you know, you're staying balanced in terms of the type of reels you want to create. And that as these ideas come to mind, they live somewhere, so you really can take your content next level. So this is a tool for you all, but we're going to go right into video types. So this is for you all to know and read. I'm not going to read this with you, but these are the kind of reels that we're going to talk about today. Timeless, transition, tips, tricks, trending audio, and training. So let us go into it. I'm going to switch to my phone. Let's just make sure it lets us do that. Okay. So I got a whole folder for us here. And so what we're going to do today, the first one is going to be this particular video. This is me photo shoot, right? Behind the scenes, just me walking across the room, no production in specifically, but just capturing some footage in that. So let's start with this. We're going to start here. I'm going to show you how I took this and turned it into one of my higher viewed on TikTok, right? Because I want to kind of cover each type of platform. So let's come out of here. Video Leap. I want you guys to download that. That is the app of the day. This is the app that I use to create most of my video-based content.
Wait, what's it called again?
A Video Leap. Let's see if it comes up. Yep, this one.
Okay.
Now, Video Leap I'm giving y'all all my secret sauce right now. Video Leap, if you've ever seen my like cooler content where like it looks like it's all these transitions and like you know, just fancier. Thank you, Shayna. Download the Video Leap app. When you hit the home section here, they actually have templates. So when y'all see like my fancier content, it just makes it for you. And I love that. So now we'll say it's a little more time consuming than like, I'm not gonna lie to you, like, oh, you just put it in here and then ta-da. You kind of want to look through there and see if it fits. How many pictures or images do you have that make sense for it? But I love to use that as a just fun way to create content without really having to think too much about how I want to stitch it together. It'll stitch it for you, but concept wise, you kind of want to come in and know how you want to present that moment in your life. So we are going to hit the plus button. We're going to make a brand new. Now, Video Leap, I believe, has a free trial at least. It used to be free through like a minute. It might be a paid app now. it's worth it if you want to take this seriously. There are other apps that are out there that you can use, but I'm just going to refer to this one because this is where I actually use this one, and this one is simple enough that like I ain't got to do a lot of thinking. So let's go to videos. No, we're going to go to, I have a whole section for it. Maybe it won't pull it up. Let's see. Okay, it might. Let's see. If it went in alphabetical order, it would be a lot easier, y'all. And it's not. Oh. Okay. It was called like The Real Remedy. Hopefully I'm not missing it. There it is. I was missing it. Okay. So we're going to go right in here. Open this up, add to project. So we're going to just play it all the way through. There's no music here. I don't know if y'all can hear that. Just a basic video of me walking. So what does really well in general is video content that it has some slow-mo to it when you're walking. So that kind of gives the pizzazz, right? So about a minute and a half, I will click the actual footage. So let's just see it again. I click the footage. There's this like box cutter at the bottom. Y'all see this? And that helps me split it. And then about a minute and a half before that ends, same thing, this little button down here at the bottom. So we just cut this video into 3. What I'm going to do with the middle, because the middle is going to be where we slow-mo. Speed is here. And we're going to slow this down. So give me a thumbs up or give me a 6 in the comments. Like, does that feel good? Does that seem simple?
Yeah, that seems simple enough. But it does beg the question, and this is something that I don't know if I asked in the group or not. Who is taking all these? Like every time I look at people's stuff, I'm like, who is taking it? Because it's like they got a lot going on, and maybe we're propping it up against something. And I was going to ask you, is there certain like equipment that you use, certain little, like I know you could always have like a little tripod. You could always have some, you're not going to always have people with you to capture the moment. I saw this little gadget on Instagram the other day where it was actually it turns when you turn, it moves when you move. So I just didn't know if there was some new equipment out there that people are using that maybe we need to look into to make it easier for us to do this stuff on our own when there's nobody around to take the footage for us. You see what I'm saying?
Yes. So what you're going to want to do is first, if you can grab a teenager, because a teenager literally caught this content. That's plan A. If there's no teenager in tow, I'm going to give you guys the information to this in the thank you email, which will come out tomorrow. So you'll get a thank you tomorrow. But this is my tripod. And this can be on a stand, pop the phone in, and I would just have walked by it. So yes, you can definitely capture this footage on your own. Now, when you see footage that is in motion, the kind of contraptions you saw, they're a little bit techy. I'm not gonna lie to you, like you kind of just have to know that you can get it and program it and do what you got to do with it. But to get the job done, having a phone stand, that's chef's kiss to me. So good question there. So once we kind of have this, and this is already ready, that was an easy one, right? Now y'all gonna stay with me here. I'm gonna take y'all through the whole process. You do not need to do this. From here, you literally could just like, if you know what audio you're gonna use, you could literally type it up and just plop it on here. I think for this particular one, I did have like a blurb. Let me see here. If y'all can see what I'm talking about. Oh, it was on TikTok. I said that right. Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing real quick. This was the final. So this was easy, right? Like I think this is a easy one to play with. Again, this was one of my higher viewed. So I didn't caption it to like follow the words. I just kind of, you can hear it. So I didn't even like write with the audio set. I just made my own inspirational quote and attached it. So that's always a win. But what I do want to do is show you how to take that. And some of y'all may have seen some of my videos that are captioned, and what you would do with those. So if you have this and we have created, let me go back to share. What I would do from there is I would go to Instagram. I would go and find whatever audio. I send audios to myself, but again, you guys know that you can go and just find one that's trending. So I mentioned I would let you know that I'll teach you how to know what's trending. Here at the bottom, y'all see this arrow? Next to Stevie Wonder, Ribbon in the Sky. I don't know if y'all can see my mouth or not. Someone say no if you can't see it. But right here underneath, you got Lindsay the Creative. Lately, I realized that I wasn't expressing, and underneath you have Stevie Wonder, Ribbon in the Sky. Next to Stevie's name, you see an arrow pointing up. That means that audio is indeed trending. So that's how you know. And then how to know when Patrice wants to use it. I want to use it when that audio is under 4,000 reels, preferably under 1,000. But under 4,000 means that I'm more likely to get increased visibility. So this is on our list from today. I gave you guys a list of 5 audios that are currently trending that are pretty easy to make content around that I can challenge you guys to do in the next couple days. But yes, that's how I decide how I'm going to use, if I'm going to use an audio or not. So let's use this audio for the sake of the exercise. So I clicked, hi, use audio. Did it attach it? Maybe we can't hear it here. Okay. So that helps you to create it. I actually wanted to do something slightly different. So let me actually go back to my original thought process. We're gonna go through that one soon.
Before. Capital B.
Bring it back now.
And I think we just need to get back in alignment, right, with the truth of what our lives are.
Trending one.
3 things you need to know.
Can't stop, won't stop.
You can run a street.
The Bible says goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of.
I'm not gonna be here for long. You have to move, babe.
You won't break my soul.
Got a career and I'm very invested. Some people got a career and I'm.
We're gonna use this one, y'all.
Got a career and I'm very invested. Some people call it a scary obsession. I like to call it a pet. And I'm very invested.
So we're just typing out what the audio says and adding it right to the reel. So that's the first layer. I'm gonna pop it up here. It's not gonna go where it's gonna live. It's just going where we can store it. So I'm hitting by the way, the A's up in the top corner up here. I kind of highlighted it, hitting that. Trying to get the audio back now. Okay. Let's see if we can get it back, y'all.
Gotta correct.
So I've saved it. Once you store a reel in your drafts, there's a Reels button here in the middle of the page. You'll click that, which I'm sure you guys are familiar with that. And then your draft should be here on the left-hand side.
And I'm very invested. Some people call it a scary obsession.
Some people.
I like to call it a pet. My career and I'm very invested. Some people
So
call
now
it
we're
a
gonna edit the word.
scary obsession. I like to call it a pet. My
When you
career
click
and
the
I'm very
words here at the
invested. Some people call
bottom,
it a scary
right?
obsession.
There's a whole little
I like to
menu
call
down
it a
here that
pet.
pops
My
up when you
career
start
and I'm
editing
very
text.
invested. Some people call it a scary
Turn
obsession.
myself down here.
I like to call it a pet. My career and I'm very invested. Some people
And I'm
call
gonna
it a
move the
scary
slider to where the audio is saying that word or those words.
Some people call it a scary. My career and I'm very invested. My career and I'm very invested. My career and I'm very invested. My career and I'm very. My career and I'm very invested. 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 My career and I'm very invested.
Now the key, once you do the first audio, now I'm looking and I'm listening. So like, I don't have to listen to where I'm gonna start the some people section because I can see where the text goes away when invested gets said, right? So it goes away when he stops saying invested. And I know I can just scroll until when it disappears. Naturally, the next thing they're gonna say is some people call it a scary obsession. So I'm gonna start the next text there and it cuts a little time down. And now I'm listening to see when he stops saying obsession.
People call it a scary obsession.
Perfect.
People call it a scary obsession. People call it a scary obsession. People call it a scary obsession. People call it scary.
Now we can wait for this to like go off screen. And then we can pop that in, as I like to call it, a passion.
I like to call it a pet. I like to call it a pet. I like to call it a pet.
Perfect.
I like to call it a pet. I can wear and I'm very invested. Some people call it scary.
So we're gonna then, once we know like the timing is right and everything is where we like want it to be audio wise, then I'll drag it on the video where I want it to actually live.
I like to call it a pet. I can wear and I'm very invested. Some people call it scary obsession. I like to call it a pet. I can wear and I'm very invested. Some people call it scary obsession. I like to call it a pet. I can wear and I'm very invested.
There we go. That's like the easiest way to add words to a reel. So as you guys kind of saw the recap, I created the actual footage out of Instagram. I just added the words when I got in there. And now, even though it looks a little crazy right now, when you do the draft, when I click on it, it should have saved my edits.
Very invested. Some
Yeah.
people call it a scary obsession.
There we
That's a
go.
lot for a little 6-second clip.
I heard a question. What you say?
I said, that's a lot for a little 6-second clip.
It is, isn't it? It is. And so, you know, my recommend, again, if y'all can find a teenager, I'm just in so favor of that, but it does require a little bit of sitting still. It probably took, I'm clearly do this often, so it may take a little, you know, but just carve some time out if you can. Hopefully, and what I like to do, which y'all will notice in another reel that I'll go over with you all. We may run out of time for that one. At least we got to do this one. But I'll type up what I want to, I'll just copy paste instead of typing it in and figuring it out. So it's just for me smarter to listen to what the audio says. And like complete life hack, if it's a longer audio, I love going to Google Docs on my computer. This is like a little extra step, but it helps cut down on if there are a lot of words I want to transcribe to go on my video. I'll go to Google Docs and use the voice. I'll show it to y'all real quick. I will show it to you real quick. I actually created this for today. So what I would do is I would open up a Google Doc. Now, of course, iPhone does this too, but like sometimes if you're using your phone, you want to use your computer as like another piece of technology. Go to tools and go to voice typing. Click the little voice button. Now, this is one of the most accurate, and hopefully it does not lie to me in my face as I'm doing this, but typically the transcription from Google Docs is one of the most accurate. Not bad. So if I am holding my phone to my computer, whatever the audio from Instagram is saying, it'll transcribe it. Now, is that, more time consuming? Sure. It's just, if you want to duplicate that reel, I wanted to give y'all my tools, right? But at the end of the day, if y'all wanted to, like I showed you before, if all you wanted to do was, let me actually go get the link to this so we can look at it again. This one, I didn't even worry about what the audio was saying. I just put my own inspirational quote on top, and that still performed well. So that's like a long story short, right? So hopefully that was helpful to see how I created a video that did pretty well. I haven't shared it yet to Instagram. And you'll notice that if you do cross-post stuff, it don't always do well on all platforms, but that the goal is to be visible. And even if it's not being seen by a lot of people, the right people will notice if you are consistent or not. So that's always beneficial.
I think, yeah, as I look at it, I think, for me, one of the easiest things is going to be like kind of how you have your own quote over this thing versus trying to redo the words, or like some people trying to sing the words. And that's great if you want to sing, but I don't always want to be singing the words that the person is already singing. Like, let them sing the words and let me do something else or whatever, but I think you just got to find what works for you and what makes, because sometimes I see reels and like, girl, your words not even matching the song. Like, you posted this, and I guess it's not about being perfect per se, but if I was going to go through that trouble of trying to sing the song, I would want to be, I would want to have that match up and everything. You know what I mean? So I think sometimes just knowing which direction you want to go in with things and what's going to be easiest and best for you, and like just do what works for you. You know what I mean?
That's exactly right. And so one of the big tips that I'll leave out with at the end is really just trial and error. Like, I'm still very much in trial and error. I'm figuring out what my secret sauce is when it comes to, even increasing my own views. But for right now, I'm converting. So like, that's really at the end of the day, do I want to like focus on more views or focus on more converting? I'm converting, and that's what I wanted to do. So even when you're measuring things out, the numbers are great to say, am I on the right track? But is your discovery call requests increasing? Are people signing in your DMs? Are people signing up for whatever freebie you have? Like, you want to start measuring the conversion metrics. Those are more important than what's happening with the actual video. So good point there. The other video that I wanted to edit with you all, at least, because y'all kind of got a chance to see how I add the text to video. So I really wanted to share that. That's also what I would do for a tip and trick video. So just to kind of, we're losing some time here, but when I have a tip and trick video where I'm giving 3 pointers, so my tip and trick for the day was 3 signs that it's your fault that revenue is down. I probably would not post that just because it's not my personality, but I made it for today. And I had, low engagement on all platforms, all forms of content, confused or non-committal prospects. And the third one was just overall like a lot of excuses from people in general as to why they're not buying or signing up. And those are signs that, you know, there's work for you to do. Why? Based off of, are people solution ready or are they problem ready? Are they problem aware? So knowing the difference between where your audience is will help you figure out, well, if revenue is down, your content is not helping them move towards becoming solution ready. Hi, Caro. So that is what I would have shared, but you kind of got the concept of how I edit it. I wanted y'all to specifically see, more importantly, video leap once again on how I do a transition video, because that one is a little cooler. So let's go back to sharing my phone. Okay, so we are going to hit the plus button once again. We are going to add media once again. We're back in the Real Remedy folder, and we're going to do a transition reel. So I just posted this one maybe a day or two ago. This trend comes from TikTok. So I'm doing it in advance, knowing that it's going to pop at some point on the, I actually posted it today for the sake of the exercise, but I probably would have held this one a little bit longer until the audio started to trend on Instagram. So the video inspo, which we'll go look at that real quick because I already have the finished product. So what we're going to learn is how do you cut the video so that way when people are looking at it, it looks seamless, right? So that gets done out of app as well. You probably could do it in app, but like I said, it's when I get a little anal with stuff, and even this one's not like exactly how I wanted it, it just becomes harder to do that inside the Instagram or TikTok app. So first thing you should know, whenever you see a transition video, it is indeed done at 2 different times. So I shot this before video way at a completely different day, like days later or days before I did the after. And so I'll typically batch before footage, because I mean, usually I look like the before. So I'll batch that. It might be batching it without an audio at all. Of course, in this case, it was contingent on the theme of the audio. But if you just want to just like, sashay around or just be like, oh, yawning, whatever you want to do to show this is like your before footage or before you're on, that's just wise. So just whatever way works best for you. So those are 2 different videos completely. And then what we did was try to match it up. So let's do that part together. We're going to play, this is how it looks before we, and you can hear the audio is not matched anything. It's all very raw, but we got 2 videos. Now, truth be told, again, another content hack, when I recorded these, I actually snipped them before today's call, but I recorded the whole thing through. So I didn't try to stop right at the time where I thought the transition would happen. Just record, just do what you're doing for the whole duration of the audio. You can always trim it later. You can trim it in app or out of app. So if I was in app and the thing was longer than what it should be, remember that little cut button here that pops up, I would just cut it here and then delete it. Y'all will see how I do that. But yeah, so whenever you're recording footage that will stitch, don't try to strategize it too much in recording phase. Just know when you edit it, you're going to edit it at the same time. So here we want our ear to go right to the door, and we don't want to stay at the door too long. So right there, that was a little bit too long, right? Now also the actual audio should be playing because that's going to be helpful for us, knowing when to cut. I think it doesn't like when I stop it. Let me come out of here and try to open it back up. So now it lives in projects because we've already been working on it. Very interesting. Where's our sound? Okay, well, we'll improvise. So we know that when my face gets to the ear, we're gonna want to cut. So we'll click it, use this cut button, and then you'll tap on the footage that you want to delete, which is here, and hit the trash can button. Now here, I know that when I recorded it, I tilted my head to know when I needed to like start the transition process. So back, yay, okay. So of course, the audio does not match in app. We're gonna sync this in the Instagram app. But for right now, we wanna know that it looks good. So right now I'm trimming it because when, the boom sound is where I want to make sure that when it transitions, that we can hear. Okay. So again, sounds crazy in Video Leap. That's okay. We're gonna save it. And our goal is to make sure it makes sense in the Instagram app. So I don't always sync the sounds inside Video Leap. That's an extra step that I don't think any of y'all want to hear about today. Let's keep it simple, right? But there is a way to do that if you wanted the whole thing to be together before you came into a social media app. Now, I'm the one with the audio today because it's trending really yet on Instagram.
It's a clarifying question, Patrice. When you talked about originating it outside so that you can repurpose it in different, does that include, do you have to have the sound and the words and everything in the external app for that to repurpose it? So you would have to complete it fully?
Good question. So it is nice when you can do that, but the reason why I don't want to have you harp on that, because it is probably an extra like 5-minute step. And then also when you import it in, right now the platforms are favoring sounds that already have some traction. So if you come in with your original sound, not only did it take you longer, but now you have a little bit less visibility because the sound's not recognized by the platform to say people want to hear this. So my best bet, and I'm just doing this for the sake of today because the sound is actually not on Instagram in a way that I can find it. But typically if I know it's a trending sound, I'll see the trending sound in my social media so I can get to it later. And once I pull it over into app, I'll go get the sound then. Even though I know it's kind of like either on my video or I know what I want to use, but my goal is to go get the sound when I get to the app. So that the video might be soundless, or again, the sound might need to be muted later. But yeah, I try to get the sound because that is part of the trending audio benefit, to say if this is what Instagram is pushing or Facebook is pushing to people who want to hear this, let me get on that train and have them help amplify my content. That's a good question though. And what I would say is if it's just not, except for in some cases it's not there at all. Once I posted this particular video and I saved it to my phone, I had the audio then. So now if I had to go to Pinterest, which Pinterest doesn't have any audios, I can indeed upload it with my audio now. So when I'm repurposing, depending on how I'm saving it, as long as there's no logo, I'm able to go put it in other places with the audio that was trending initially. Does that make sense?
Kinda, girl.
Kind of. What I would say is then only post where you know you can go get the audio.
Mhm.
Okay, because that way you ain't gotta think about all the other little, my brain can do little woo-woos and you don't want those. So just only post a video where you know the sound is already on the platform and you just want to pop the sound on top.
Got it.
So in this case, I'm the originator of the sound, but got sound back. Let's go to our drafts here. So I would want to go back here and I would do this for a little while. So I'm not gonna bore y'all with that, but I basically would cut in where I believe the gap was. I want my fist to hit the door right at the time where that sound hits the video. Let's do this better. The delay is a little slow here. And just know, the only reason why I'm doing this extra step here with you guys is because the audio keeps falling off connecting to the computer for whatever reason. So usually it's not this much back and forth. Sound is not our friend, y'all. Okay, we won't harp on it. Usually I get really anal. I'm not gonna do that to y'all. But just know I played with the audio enough till I can see it sync up. And the final product was what y'all see on my page, which is this one. So I kept tweaking and cutting until I can get it to be exactly where I want it. And let's get that closer. So no secret sauce to that. It's just literally, as you can see, just going, listening, trial and error. That took a little bit more time. So I don't do transition reels, but like once every 2 months, because that's time consuming. Now they typically do pretty well engagement wise. So I'll pop them in my like 3-month strategy to say, maybe I'll do 2 and 3 months and just let people, you know, get it when they're going to get it. But my role was to show you guys what that process looks like in app. So that way you knew how it does take a little bit of time. But once you get it, you save it. So once it's saved, then at that point, I'll pop it where I want it to go. And that is a transition reel for that. Typically, my recommendation is to not even do one this complicated, is to just do one that's a little bit more, a little simpler. Maybe I didn't post it here. I think I did on my TikTok. My other transition reel. Yeah, I don't incorporate them often, but I wanted you guys to know how to do them. Real quick, because we got to get ready to go. I want to make sure I also covered the other popular types of reels. So you are comfortable with whatever way you go. You're like, look, at least I've seen her cover these. I feel comfortable attempting it or calling for help. You know what I mean? But in terms of my everyday, like if I was making reels every day and I did not want to go complicated, I would definitely focus on timeless reels. Those, again, you can pull footage from your phone. You can catch it when you go out to eat next, you get dressed up. go out for lunch, for dinner, you know, go to a business meeting, a conference, whatever, just capture some footage of you walking or sitting and drinking your coffee. That you can pop on, again, a quote from yourself and make it slow-mo, or just have it run behind whatever wording you want to use. And that's always easy. We stitched two videos together. It wasn't really our friend, but at least we were able to get a feel for what that process looks like. So I wouldn't focus on those as a consistent part of your strategy, but the engagement for those is just typically pretty good. Tips and tricks, these are great. I actually have a few of those. And let's see if it lets me get to one of my more recent ones. We can actually cover two in my TikTok.
Special girl, real good girl. Big pig, my itty bitty girl.
So y'all watch me edit something very similar to this, so you get a feel for. But again, I put background footage. The footage did not have anything to do with the word, but I was able to teach on top of. Now you will notice that there are some real audios that encourage you. Like there's one right now that says, you know, you should know this, this, and this. So like there are people creating audios now where, and I'll be able to share more of those with y'all later, but that you can literally just take the audio and it's encouraging you to share some tips. But this one, I just took a trending sound, behind the scenes footage of a photo shoot, and popped on top my personal tips, right? So I wanted to make sure we covered that. And this was, again, I typed out, I always do, whenever I do those tips, I type out my tips ahead of time. So I'm not having to take all that time in app. So I'm literally copy pasting and I'm timing out when I want the text to show up in that particular video. Let's talk this Instagram reel. So this is my personal page. This one did pretty good. I think that this one was over 10K for what it's worth. And
but could we not? Could we hold off just a second? Could we wait? No.
So I want to talk strategy here. This is not highly produced. Again, I did a voiceover, right? So those are pretty simple to think about. Yes, I will. Training reels is the last up. So I'm gonna cover training reels as well. So for this one, I literally took a topic that people were already talking about around Mother's Day. I saw a lot of people like, don't take me to dinner with them kids on Mother's Day, send me to a hotel room, right? So whenever you see a trend happening on social media, you can turn that into a reel. And I just took a trending audio, took a trending topic, mixed it together, and I got 10K views, right? So that's just a great strategy that helped me just increase visibility. Now, again, that's why my goal is not to go viral, because this has nothing to do with my business, but it made people laugh. It made them engage. It got, you know, pretty good like count. And that's great. At the end of the day, it just like with memes, right? It just keeps you in the algorithm. It keeps people privy to your content. You don't drown in the funnel of algorithm. Exactly. That falls into entertaining content. Now it goes against my rule of thumb, because I want most of my content, if not all of it, to still speak to an objection that my audience is having. So that does take away from view count sometimes, if it's not just purely fun, which I think fun is amazing. But if it's not purely fun and it does have a goal of conversion, you'll notice, I know y'all seen it all the time, your conversion focused stuff does not always get all the bells and whistles of engagement. That is okay. Do the best you can. It's best of both worlds here, right? The middle of the Venn diagram. Can you create content that is engaging, but that still moves people through that funnel, right? I just wanted to give you that. If you ever feel like you're in a slump and you just want a boost of energy back to your page, it's fun to try these out. This was not guaranteed to go viral at all, but I tried a formula and it worked. So it was, you know, what people are talking about on social media plus a trending audio. People liked it. It was pretty easy to implement that. And training is last up. So let's talk that real quick. So this video also performed well on my on Instagram and TikTok. Actually, it did well on both platforms. And sometimes these car videos don't do so great on Instagram. So I was impressed that it actually worked out. So the reason why this worked is the same formula I talked about with TikTok. I actually put a industry-wide FAQ. So when you think about your own business, sometimes we can get a little snobby and be like, well, I don't really talk to people who, and my business not really for the people who, but kind of the zero content, right? Sometimes you can pull it out for engagement. So in this case, I pulled out that zero content, which is, people who are just not even aware they have a problem or something like that. I think that's kind of what we called it. So if I had no business idea, that means that I'm not even in the market for a social strategist, right? I'm just out here wanting more money. I'm not even ready for a solution, or I'm not even really aware of my problem. But if I had no business idea, this is a frequently asked question that I get pretty often from people who know that I make money on social media. Well, I want to make money on social media, but I don't know what I would do. I hear that all the time. So what's that question that kind of makes you roll your eyes when people find out what you do? And you're like, I'm so far beyond that. Like, I don't even serve people who blah, 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 blah. It just gives you engagement, right? It just allows for you, again, knowing the different ways that when you want to weave and flow through your video content, have some fun, get extra engagement, that's a great way to do it. Most of your content in this form would, of course, fall within that straight up conversion content. I'm addressing an objection. What are people hesitating on working with me at or around, and can I address that heads on? But this did really well because a lot of people had this question, and people were like, oh, I never thought about this. This is what I buy. This is what I do. The tip that I gave them was to look at your transactions on your bank statement. What are you spending the most money on? And they loved that. And they actually, you all can see, I asked them, comment below, what are your top 3? And that got people, they actually did what I said, because it was a call to action. Even though this was not directly conversion content, I wanted to convert in the form of views. So these training videos, again, favorite way to do them is in the car, hands down. I will hop in the car, I have a spot that I park in and everything. This is where I do these at. And otherwise, again, think frequently asked question, but industry-wide is my tip to you. And then take a basic question and give your spin. So there might be in your industry, I think accountants, right? I'm sure people ask accountants the same things over and over again. Take that question and give your own spin. How can I avoid overspending on taxes? Or what's the best way to pay my kids, and get a tax break? Like, they kind of get those same questions all the time. So it's easy for them to just pop that text on the top of a video as the header, right, of that video, and then run with it. So in your industry, those FAQs are golden. These are great also because they help to prevent, hopefully, some frivolous discovery calls. Like, when you get these discovery calls, what questions are people asking? And the whole idea for me for content is to do one of 2 things. It should cut down on some of my discovery calls, because when you get on that discovery call, you really should be ready to convert. So what questions are being asked of you on those calls that really could be turned into content, so they should not hop on your line in an unsure state? And the other piece is, again, it should handle those objections. So when they, again, get on the call, they know they're ready to buy, because your content not only answered their questions, but it answered their objections. Objections and questions are different, because question means I'm aware of what's holding me back. Objection means I'm not really clear about what's holding me back. And at that point, it's our role as a business owner to help them get clear about what really is holding them back, and to help address that head on. Example for that would be money. People will say, well, I just don't have the money right now. That's an objection, right? So they feel like that's their problem. The problem is that I don't have money. Well, is it that you don't have money, or is it you're not super clear about how this is going to help you take your business and increase it by 10K a month? Which one is it? And very rarely are people like, it's still money. They're like, no, I actually don't know. I don't see a vision as to how this is going to help me increase 10K per month. And then you can address that head on, right? So your content should in some way help aid you with that. So you're not on the calls fielding those kind of questions or getting those kind of objections where you're still navigating why people don't have enough money, but they're on the phone with you.
Hey, question for you. Now that Instagram, there's another question, is moving, I guess, everything to Reels. So now I guess a live video shows up as a Reel. Is that correct?
A live video recording. So yes, if you, let me actually move this over. Thank you for letting me know, Shannon, that y'all couldn't see this. I thought y'all could. So just to recap, because y'all couldn't see this, sorry about that. This is the training video recap. In the car, no frills. Title of it, I had no business idea in mind, but wanted a 6-figure business by the end of the year. So again, commonly asked question, even though I roll my eyes at it sometimes, I get it a lot. Let's make it into a video, and it hit over 10K views. And a call to action right here. So I'm sorry, ask your question again, because I didn't know y'all couldn't see this.
Well, no, I was just saying, like, now that because I guess there was a change not that long ago where now even live videos and certain things is like, it's like all showing up as a reel now. So I mean, yeah, could you do things like this and kind of just make those be your reels? I mean, and not have to be, I don't know, sometimes I feel like, look, chasing down all these trends and trying to do what everybody else is doing is one reason that I haven't been out there doing anything. You know what I mean? It just feels daunting to trying to always stay on top. What's the current trend? What's the current trend? What's the trend in music? What's the trending type of reel? Like, you know, and it's like, oh my God, it's got to be an easier way, you know? Yeah. And so that's kind of how I feel about it. And so like what you're doing here is definitely, you know, yeah, I used to do that all the time from the car. And now that it's going to show up as a reel, I mean, anybody can do that, like talk from the car, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So, yeah, but I guess that begged the other question, which is something, you know, because I haven't really been active on Instagram much. I was more on Clubhouse and more on Facebook in my community. But of course, in here, like Reels, okay, Instagram, and of course, my business travel, there's definitely a visual element to it. What was I getting ready to say? Shit, I forgot my damn question. Oh, how do you stay abreast of the doggone trends? Because that's the thing that feels like, it feels like every other day there's something new that Instagram has put out or it's changed or it's done. And it's like, wait a minute, I'm still trying to get on top, you know, what they did last week. Now they got this new thing, and then next week gonna be something new. And I'm like, Jesus, you know? So, you know, if you're in social media and social marketing like you are, obviously that's a little bit easier. But for somebody like me, that is not my business per se, but I am trying to use the platform. But it's like, okay, what's the latest? What are we supposed to be doing now? How many hashtags are they using now? What's the, you know, it just feels like, oh my God, this never ending quest to always stay on top of the latest information. So where do you go to do that? How do you, you know, stay on top of that?
Good question. So it does lead us into our next phase here, which is amazing. You've been a great segue for me today. So we're going to talk through some of that specifically. The easy answer, before I go into more of that, is know what works for you. You've said it several times. My goal today was to lay out for you all the buffet. Here's what you can choose from. What feels comfortable for you? If the barrier for you today was, I don't know how to do it, hopefully today gave you an opportunity to kind of see behind the scenes. If I had more time with you all, I'd have you sit with me and I edit that video for like 30 minutes. You know, like that's literally what it takes sometimes for me to actually put this content out. So it is a labor of love, but hopefully I gave y'all a little bit of like, this is what it looks like trying to get it right. And this is what it looks like when I actually got it right. Knowing also, again, it goes back down to your full strategy too. So if you are doing amazing with lead gen, your content does not have to pull the weight of all the trending audios and trending things, you know. But if you're like, no, I do want my reels to increase visibility, you have to put the work in somewhere to get those increased leads, right? So in some people, like some of my clients, their strategy is not to be trendy at all. Like we're not worried about trending audios or anything. I try to have them attach one on, and I showed you guys how I do it. I literally will pull up the Reels function on the app, scroll some and choose an audio, you know, like it can be that simple for you. But at the end of the day, it's knowing in each of these structures of a social media strategy, where do you fit in? And, you know, for some people, videos like this, their audience is engaged, their community is engaged. They don't want frills and they don't need frills. You know, Jerisha Hawk comes to mind. Jerisha will do some cute stuff every now and then, but she's established an online community and she is social proof to where you'll catch her in her car. It'll be caption videos, but like it's not overproduced because her community very much knows what to expect from her and they know that she's fire. But if you're building an audience online, you do have to figure out, where does my labor come in? And Clubhouse was, you know, a great example. If Clubhouse was still your main platform that you were increasing your followers off of, or you were increasing your audience off of, then all this comes secondary to where are the bulk of my eyes coming from. And once you know where that's going to be, then you can say, okay, content comes secondary. I can keep it no frills, because really, really high ticket clients are not so much looking for the frills and the bells and the whistle. They want to know, do you know your stuff? These training videos, just like this, captioned appropriately, right? Because TikTok is reading SEO specifically. So whatever you put in this, the six-figure business part, I'm sure, pulled out to TikTok, and they said, let's show this to people who look at six-figure business info. They're reading this, they're screening this. So that's my best tip to you all, is just making sure that whatever people are searching on Google, and you can always type that in, answerthepublic.com is always a great place if you're not sure people are Googling in terms of your industry. So it's answerthepublic.com. It'll help you pull up those commonly asked questions in your industry, making sure those keywords exist in your title of your video. Thank you. Oh, let me put it right here.
Yeah, I like Answer the Public.
Oh, no. Thank you. So y'all have that there, so that will help you pull that out, you know. But yes, just keeping it simple as possible based off of your goals is always the key. So just knowing you have tools in your bucket to work off of and find what works for you. I think a great way to make your reels low effort is to record yourself doing some of the basic things in your life: cutting fruit, pouring your coffee, reading a book, typing on your laptop. Record that kind of content, and you can put tips and tricks over top of that. Because as y'all can see, my reels, where was it at? This one here, I wasn't doing anything. And I literally put my thoughts, my training, my tips and tricks on top of that. So that can look like whatever your day-to-day life looks like. You can still very much educate, but the actual footage does not need to be something that you exactly did in the life kind of content. Just makes it a lot easier for you to get your message out there.
Okay, so let me ask you this. And hopefully it's okay, I'm asking questions.
Yes,
hopefully other people are finding it beneficial as well. Do you feel like you always need to be in your reel? Like you need to be a part of your reel? Because I guess I see a lot of times people make reels with, pictures. They make, images. They make reels with like moving videos, say like ocean water or whatever. Like, what are your thoughts about that? Do you feel like, obviously, yes, I know that, being on the person, that builds that credibility and that know, like, trust factor faster. But I just wanted to know like what your thoughts are about that.
So those, we test them. That's my best answer. Like all of those things can work. They do work, but you test them on your particular audience. You mentioned that you're in travel. I would 100%, I'm gonna type it here in the chat. Shayna been holding me down, but she got a whole baby. Thank you, Shayna. Let me make sure that's the correct one, actually. Yep. Pexels.com has an ability to search for royalty-free, like free video content as well. So if you go to pexels.com and type in ocean waves, you can search by video. Can y'all see my screen?
Yeah, that's actually what I was going to ask you. One of my questions was like, what if I wanted to, show waves at the beach, but I'm not actually at the beach right now. You know what I mean? So if I could, if there was somewhere to go where you could get videos of different things. So you recommend this site? Are there any other sites that you recommend?
This is my main one. I don't use this content as much because it doesn't perform well for me. So when I tested it, it didn't do well. I think I got like 30 views. So I was like, okay, my audience does not want nature-based stuff, but your audience may want that because they're looking to feel relaxed, they're looking to get away. So all of this here would be like, hey, this is where I would start. If you find this kills it for you, like Thais, which y'all will meet her, and very shortly she went from 0 to 30K followers in 3 months on Instagram using Reels. She can kill it with a video like this. A video like this for her can get 16K views, easy. but she's sharing, spiritual content, inspirational content, and her audience is okay with it, but my audience is not. So in that regard, that strategy has to be tested. I'm always, again, going to recommend start with your face, start with as much as you can do outside of, but you can do a video of you typing or you just pouring your coffee and you're not in it if you don't feel, made up. My highest suggestion, though, is to just get dressed once a month and knock it out. And that way you have enough background footage for the rest of the month. But if you're just like, look, I just want to get something out there. Yes, show you just typing, show you writing in your planner or your journal. You can batch these things out.
Yeah, that was actually a question I had for you is because I noticed that in some of your videos, like, you obviously are kind of batching and making a few. So could you kind of give us some insight into your content creation process? Like, does it happen over a week? Like on Monday you do this, Tuesday you do that? Could you give us a little insight into that?
Of course. So when y'all see me batching, that looks like me taking probably 2 days a month. And I'm now in the space where, because again, my goal was to not be like my content for August. I am not going to be very present. It's back to school month. And that was my goal, was to take social media off completely in August. Might not be completely, but it's going to be darn close, because I've been working to create that batch content, that banked content all summer. And that looks like, again, 2 days per month where I get myself together and I literally do exactly what I just told you. I'll record content of me typing on a computer. It's content of me walking. It's content. So the things that we kind of walked through and looked at today, that's my formula. Typing on a computer, holding a phone, talking on a phone, walking down the street, walking back down the street, and whatever I'm starting to see trends. So people like me walking. So y'all are going to see more walking content because people happen to like that. So I'm going to start narrowing down based off of what my engagement has done over the last 2 or 3 months. But yeah, that's how I batch. So I would say take those basic day in the life. A great way to grab some checklist stuff is if you type up or look for a branding photo shoot checklist. Like that will be super helpful to say whatever a branding photographer is doing with their clients, just do that in motion for yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, but twice a month for me does it. It's not all week. Every now and then I might, to put a little filter on and do something in between, just because this is what I do. But outside of that, that twice a month recipe is golden for me.
I'd like to ask a question real quick. Is Nick? I want to go back to, when we were talking about problem solutions and solution remedy, right? Yeah. So I'm technical, but I suck at goals. I got to do things that feel right at the moment. I am a manifestation generator, if anyone knows about human design. So I do shit when I feel like it, right? Mm-hmm. So, but as far as being technical, like how often, because you said you want to hit all 3 of those at least within a month, right? Yeah. So like, should you like a week of problem, a week of solution, a week of solution remedy, or like all that within a week? Like, I'm real technical when it comes to like how to do things so that I can have it in my mind and I don't got to overthink it. So I would love your take on that.
Yeah, so the best way that I think about any of this is going to be let's go back to that actual page, because it's going to help me to explain that out to you right here. So here, let's say, for instance, the masterclass, right? So I just finished a campaign, right? For masterclass, that's one of my nurture. This is a nurture event for me, right? So I'm thinking about nurture for next month. Let's talk August real quick, right? Next month, you have a goal. And some of y'all are going to market the same offer that you have all year, the same offer from the quarter, or maybe you're going to start August and try something completely different. Maybe you're going to offer your own masterclass. Whatever you're going to do to move people towards getting closer to you and more intimate into your genius, that's going to be like overarching. This is what my goal is for the month. So make that decision first, right? Once you know what you're going to primarily market, now we do our social media campaign and our content calendar. That how much you do of this is contingent on what it is that you're trying to move them towards. So solution ready, if the solution is paying me $5,000, that's much different of a content plan than you trying to get someone to pay $7 for a checklist, right? So that's going to be contingent. But let's use the masterclass for example, because I think everyone should offer a masterclass in the next month or so. So if I'm going masterclass route, I'm going to literally do what you mentioned, and it's going to be one section per week will be my masterclass formula. Problem is this, you're not posting reels. Problem is this, that this is about to be popping. That you belong on camera, all these different things that I know people are aware of. Solution aware. I didn't do as much of that this particular campaign because it was kind of self-explanatory, but I would have spent week 2 if I felt like I needed to. So I did more problem aware personally, because I felt like it wasn't like, oh, you can, like, what are your options? Like, either you're gonna record video or you're not, you know what I mean? Like, it just didn't fit for me. But in most cases, I would have spent week 2 going all the way problem aware. You probably thought about trying this. You probably tried this. You are talking to your homegirls. So I know you're brainstorming, right? So brainstorming Betsy. So you may you've been talking to your homegirls about your business idea. You ain't making no money. I might go that route. So I'm helping them to understand, yes, you've been trying things, because people often will say, well, I tried that and it didn't work. Kind of happens to people, or they haven't tried the right things at all and they haven't invested yet. So figuring out what your audience is, and then solution ready. Call to action is always going to include whatever that masterclass is going to be in the comments or in that status though. So no matter where I'm at, I'm always called to action and getting you to move towards me. Like I said, it's just it's much harder. If my goal is to hey, the link in my comments is 5K. That's a lot harder to do. But it's a lot easier to say the link in my comments is to a discovery call where I can learn more about you. So that's going to help, again, dictate how deep my content how hard does my content have to work to get you to do what I'm asking you to do in my link. That's the key.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'll say it again for y'all. How hard does my content have to work to get you to take the action in that link? And so for me, I'm always going to try to incorporate a smaller ask, because if I can get you closer to me, then I can navigate a little bit better. But if I got to get you to close 5K, 10K in my comments, I better be bringing it. You know what I mean? And that's a lot harder to keep up versus getting on the phone for me personally. Any other questions for me? This is y'all cheat sheet here. So real quick, I know I kept y'all a little longer, but I hope this was fruitful. I gave you guys 5 easy reels to recreate. Oh, this is so dope, Sheena. This is a brand photographer has some stuff you can work on reels. Oh, that's amazing. I'm gonna save this for myself. I'm gonna save it for myself. Okay. I have 5 easy reels. These are all trending audios. I gave you guys content hacks. So this is how you're gonna storyboard your own reel, and what I would do to make it all bring it all home. So this gives you guys a start. I am gonna be launching a 10-day Reels challenge starting on August 5th. So you all get access. Congratulations for being here today. You guys will get that included in your admission. So I will be sending out information on how to get access to that very soon, probably on August 2nd or something like that. Y'all will get that. But that will be a great way for you guys to hold yourself accountable to doing these 5 reels at least. Now you just need 5 more. So this will be a great way to take what you learned today. Most of these are really simple. I kept it super simple. The same concepts that we covered today will apply. I think it'll be a great way, again, to practice in action what it looks like. So of course you are welcome. I'm so excited. Slight hack, or just slight thing to keep in mind. Ashley and I just went through this actually. If you have a business profile on Instagram, these audios will not be available to you. And these audios are not on Facebook. So make sure that before we start the challenge that you've changed your profile on Instagram from business profile to creator profile. Creator profile gets basically all the same for all purposes that we're using it for, all the same functionality, but they get the access to all reels, all real audios. The business profiles only get select royalty free or super approved audio. So it's just harder to duplicate the game plan. So this is y'all homework to work on start banking out before we get to the 5th. And then the goal is from the 5th through the 15th to like post just consistently once a day and just working out that muscle. So what's next? We got through training. Congratulations. So just wanted to shout you out. You've made an investment today into the visibility and sustainability of your brand, because as you do this, it should make creating content a little bit easier, because now you guys have a strategy in mind, and it should help you again increase the effort. Your effort when you put this content out there should be maximized. So we want to make sure we're doing that. What's next though? So if you're like, okay, this was great, Patrice, this challenge is exciting, let's do all of that. But I need some more help. So for about a week, I'm going to open my doors up. I am a CMO. I actually shut my doors to being a CMO in February. I stopped taking CMO clients. And a fractional CMO on my side of the world looks like someone to help you with social sales. So if you're like, yes, this all sounds good, but I don't know what I'm going to do when I leave this class. I don't know what happens after the 15th. You guys will have the opportunity until the 15th to book me as your fractional CMO. And basically it's not as loose as a coach. Like I wouldn't call it coaching per se, because coaching sounds like I'm just going to tell you like what to do or guide you, but in this is more structured. So this looks like we literally meet on the first Friday of the month and the third Friday of the month. We meet so we can create and maintain whatever social sales strategy that you have. So we're creating a social media campaign. It's August. Next month is back to school month. Moms get really distracted, hence me trying to be as offline as possible in August. What are you going to do that your business does not suffer in the month of August like most people businesses do? So this is a great month to be entertaining. It's a great month to show up and maximize video, because people are going to be touch and go, especially moms. If you serve a lot of moms, they're going to be touch and go next month. So are you standing out on social the way you need to in the midst of all of the hustle bustle? Does your business help to serve them as they are busy? You know, how do you take the load off of them? What can you do to help them get more clarity in the midst of trying to maintain a business and maintain this boost of motherhood that's coming up? So it's a great opportunity to do that. So again, first Friday and third Friday we meet. We do a content calendar together as well. So if you're wondering, I know Nick kind of asked it like, well, tell me like, what does this look like? And it does depend, right? If you have a masterclass in mind, that content calendar is way different than a content calendar for a checklist. So we want to make sure that we are putting our efforts forward, and we have different goals for different times of the year. At some point in the year, your goal should be to grow your email list specifically. At some points of the year, it should be a masterclass. At some points, it should be a discovery call. And I get really sad when I see coaches say, I don't do calls no more ever. Okay, cool. But there might come a season where that's valuable to you, and people are cutting off avenues to really connect with their audience when they say, I never do this anymore. Some seasons we pop in, we can just do text closing, we can do DM closing. And some seasons you got to actually get to know your potential. So we're gearing what you do to what it is that your business needs. What does your business need right now? Where is your deficit on that core force conversion scale? And can we make sure that you're keeping up with what your business needs overall? It will include access to challenges. So y'all will get this next challenge included, but if you want access to the upcoming, we alternate at this point. So we either do a Reels challenge or a Dare a Day challenge. Dare a Day is my favorite. I need to go back and do the actual math, but I think I like tripled my income in our last Dare a Day. And it was like just showing up bold. I think sometimes we just need that reminder that we're playing a little bit too small and that we should be pitching ourselves to bigger contracts. We should be showing up. Fun story. One of my favorite dares that I came up with for myself was I was going to approach a mentor that was not accepting any mentees. And I DM'd him and I said, you're my coach now. I sure did. And that was so bold for me. And he was like, I said, you're my coach now. I was like, I don't know if you're taking mentees or not, but I'm here. And he was like, well, I typically let people know when I'm like, or I let people know when I kind of see them and I want to, mentor them. I said, oh, okay. And at that point, whatever he posted, I'm like, hey, coach. And I tell you what, within 30 days, he was like, okay, Patrice. And he helped me write the copy for my 10K offer. So those kind of dares are like everything that help just get us out of our comfort zone. So you guys will gain access to that as well. So usually that's $750. Thank you, Nick. I would have never done that without a challenge. Like I needed to have somewhere I can go and be like, I am completely putting my balls on people's faces today. Like what, what do I do next? Like, how can I keep showing up and really having the audacity to claim what I want out of business and out of life? So it's typically $750. You guys get access to this service for $500. Again, I'm going to open it up until the 15th. So that will be an opportunity for you all. You'll see me market it to social media for a little while, and then I'm going to close this back up because I can really only do it on Fridays. So once that gets booked, that is booked. But if you do need that extra help, that extra marketing support in your business, creative director in your business, that's going to be an opportunity to take advantage of that. And Sheena, oh my goodness, thank you. She said, I've done a call with Patrice. I feel so supported. So she's one of my newer CMO clients. Hey now. So book the call. It's our season to go after what we want. And it's, I don't know where the client's part goes, but we got to put ourselves out there basically. And that is absolutely it. I was talking to Sheena, I'm like, she belongs on TV, on magazines. Like there's no reason why, she's not showing up on Good Morning America. Like there are things that, we can do even beyond what we see in our scope. Like some of you guys are supporting amazing women. You're amazing yourself. So why are you not showing up? Why do you not have more podcast interviews? Like even down to that, I support my clients with beyond the social, like how are we getting you more visible? So if you have questions, absolutely, I'm gonna put my link in the chat here, and I'll also send it out tomorrow so you guys have it. But you can always, under charismatic copy, but still gets to me. And of course, if you have any other questions, I'll be happy to answer. You can always message me on Facebook. Last thing is Chanel actually has a challenge starting tomorrow. So if you are looking to be a little bit more bold, I'll include that in tomorrow's email as well. I would love to have you guys join her if you're looking to get more consistent with your content and just stop overthinking it. I think that is a big part of what Reels has left us, like feeling overwhelmed and should I be showing up and where should I be and is this good enough? And again, I think if we're giving our best effort and we know this is our first introduction to a lot of people, just put your best foot forward, but don't overthink it. Put the content out there and see what it does. Like that video of me looking like I'm an Amish person got over 10K views. Like that's great. So, sometimes we do overthink what content can and should do. So I'll include more info for that for you all as well. And just thank y'all so much for being here. If you have a aha, something like, triggered today that you were like, yes, like that really did it for me, pop it in the comments. I love to see how what I train on has impacted you all. So there is anything that comes to mind that you're like, yes, like that changed the game for me, or that helped make sense to me, or, I wanted to see how you edited that. And that's not so bad, I hope. Pop that in for me, but just look out for your emails for details on the challenge, as well as how to move forward if you do need the extra support. Any other questions too before we hop off?
Nope, I just wanted to say thank you, girl. This was really good. I was tuning in and out. I have family over, but the editing portion had to be like bomb.com top 10 chef's kisses recommend in terms of what she's like in terms of what it is that I needed it, because I don't know if anybody else struggles with this, but you make the video, it's sitting there, the audio is trending, and you're like, how the hell do I edit this? Like, what is step two? How do they do the transition? What? So that was really what stuck, what helped, what got me unstuck today, at least mentally. And so I look forward to, I already downloaded a video, but maybe what would be really cool, I don't know if anybody is interested, or maybe this is something that you got questions on, is maybe doing an editing challenge, maybe doing an editing masterclass, maybe doing an editing, I don't know, it's masterclass, workshop, training, whatever it is, with your top tools, maybe doing a focus on transitions and maybe having your top 3 transitions that have been trending or something like that. I don't know. I'm just putting
You
it
are
out there.
the bomb. Absolutely.
Listen, no, you're the bomb. You are the bomb. I want to thank you, right? Because you are helping us to move past fears and get into action mode. And I appreciate it. And I cannot wait for not only the recording, but also for the 10-day challenge that you got coming up. That'd be really, really cool.
Good, that is dope. Well, thank you. Your feedback means the world to me. The editing challenge is now on the book. We'll figure out when, but
Let's
yes.
go. Yes. After school and after we get these little minions out of our hair and get into a rhythm, right? Because I'm right there with you. I have 5 and they're all going to go to school for the first time this year. And so I'm like, I'm going through a huge transition. So you will not see me in August. You're going to see me away in September. So I'm right there with you, but I thank you. I thank you so much. Appreciate your time and your knowledge. Appreciate you.
Of course. Thank you for being here in and out with family and everything. I appreciate you. And that is dope. Nick said, I love the structure and now know how to tackle TikTok and putting your brilliance out in social media. That is so good. You've been doing great, Nick, in general. So I'm just so looking forward to seeing how you navigate with what you now know. This is great. Thank you, Ashley. Of course, as always, glad you feel more confident and editing training on each type of role. So Shannon, we'll talk, right? We'll talk because I would love to get your feedback on that. Thank you, ladies, so much. I will let you all go. The recording, I'll upload. I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is Sandra. Just wanted to say thanks as well. I know I had a lot of questions, but hopefully,
They were amazing.
it was definitely helpful for me.
Good. They were amazing. What was your most impactful part? What stuck with you the most today?
Yeah, just, for me, it's always getting into actual reels and like, somebody else did this, somebody that I follow, and they did this about a month or 2 ago. And I think, it's different when you actually take somebody in and show them how to do the reel. And what they did was they actually had us practice and do one, like while they were doing it, we were doing it too on our practice account or something like that, or whatever. And so, and so that helped a lot too, I think, with people feeling more confident. Like, wait a minute, did I just make a freaking reel here? So it wasn't just watching one being done. It was like, wait a minute, I just did a reel, you know what I mean? And so that was huge, I think, for people to get a little bit more confidence about the thing because they actually came out of it having done one. So, yeah, I think when you have that, like consider that, going forward, like, hey, let's all do this. This is where you go. This is what you do. Let's all do this. And, and I think that helps a lot. But for me, yeah, it's getting that technical part, seeing how it's being done. What tools are you using? How are you doing it? That part is definitely invaluable.
Good. Well, that editing challenge we will do it together for sure. So we'll have 90 minutes at least carved out to say top 3 reels. Like, I'll sit with y'all. We'll do breakout rooms if we need to, but we'll make sure that you leave out and you've done it with your own thumbs. I think that is important. So thank you for that feedback too.
I just want to say the best part for me as being like the technical part was actually the structure of the content. Like, I feel like a lot of times you just put out content but don't understand what we're putting out or why we're putting it out. So to actually have a structure of like the problem, solution awareness, solution remedy, that was a game changer to me because now I can focus. Now it's intentional of why I'm putting it out there, how to structure it. So that to me was everything. Without that formula, like you just putting shit out there and don't know what you're doing.
And it's not converting. That's the whole thing, right? Like, why do all this video stuff and people just scrolling past, like, that was cute, here's a like. No, where's your bank card? Like, that's what I want. So that is super helpful. Yes. Love it.
That's where I feel like I was at. Like, I'm putting things out and people's like, but I'm like, okay, what should I be saying? What am I doing? Like, I felt there was no structure to what I was putting out there. So this actually gives me like, okay, we hitting this. Am I hitting this? Am I hitting this? So that structure is really important, at least for me. And that's a game changer. So thank you.
So you're welcome. I know I spent like an hour on that. And I was like, I'm hoping that did give the strategy. So, when you go out there, you can show up and show up confidently. And if you now know if that's not converting, it's the audience. We got to go back and look at the audience and say, are the right people following me? Because now I know I got a strategy now. So if this isn't converting my lead gen, do I need more leads that understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, because I guess like I have a new account that I'm gonna be popping off hopefully this week. Like, yes, definitely this week. And so, yeah, so starting like totally from scratch, like no followers, no posts, no nothing. So I guess the thing to get going is just to try some different things and see what happens and see if that resonates, right?
That's right. That's right. And just know, I mean, this is like social sales tip. You might be starting from zero, but it's your responsibility to grow each number. And content is not the strategy to grow that account. You need to do something else. So content is the second part. The first part is lead gen. So for me, if I have a newer account for the agency, so Successful on Social, I intentionally go network on that account. So if you have a brand new account, this even goes for you all who have had, more referral-based businesses, who do you want to work with? Go interact with them. If I had 1 hour a week for social media, believe you not, it would be 30 minutes content, 30 minutes engaging. Because you have to introduce yourself to people, introduce them to your content. But the passive of, I'm just going to post and like hope that people follow me, that worked when I first started 10 years ago. It worked well. But even 10 years ago, I was still adding, I would have 100 new followers a day because I went out and helped interact with people. So I've been doing that for 10 years myself, hence me getting to 50K. It wasn't like the follow and follow method. It was literally me going and being like, how's your daughter? You know what I mean? Or, congratulations on your business win. Like, it was literally genuinely connecting with people as if I was at a networking event. Like, if you don't go to networking events in person or on social media online, then Instagram becomes that for you. So Facebook becomes that for you. So I did have to intentionally network to create those connections. So just keep that in mind as well. All right, guys. Well, my coffee's been beeping for 2 hours. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go drink the rest of my coffee. And y'all have an amazing day. I'm gonna upload this and get this out. So, I'm gonna rush the rest of the day because it's Sunday, but I'll make sure y'all have recordings, details on challenges, all good stuff tomorrow. So take care. Thanks for coming. Thanks for sharing your wins. I can't wait to see your reels. Thank you. Bye.